The worst ever outbreak of the Ebola virus is taking a heavy toll on West Africa's economy. Crops rot in the fields, mines are abandoned, and the goods cannot reach market. The epidemic has ravaged the region for months, killing more than 1,400 people and infecting thousands more. But beyond the mounting death toll, the disease is also undermining the region's economy and threatening the long-term development.
Cancelled flights, closed borders, and widespread anxiety over the Ebola epidemic are influencing the life of people in Liberia, Guinea and Sierra Leone. Aly Khan Satchu, an economist in Nairobi, says that the outbreak of the disease will have severe impacts on the country's economic growth.
I think as an economist, this is a situation you cannot model. It's a moment of extreme beta when we could be at 1%, we could be at 0, we could be at negative. The impact is going to be big. I don't think it has been felt yet, and I think it's going to actually slow down West Africa pretty sharply, probably take 3 times more than the World Bank is currently predicting of GDP.
Moody's credit rating service says the costs of fighting Ebola will strain national budgets, and the slowdown in commerce will cut tax revenues and could make measurable cuts in each country's annual GDP growth. Aly says that this outbreak is hurting some small African economies badly, as those countries are too poor to fight against the disease. And if a populous country like Nigeria gets hit, the situation will be much worse.
If you think about it, the countries we're talking about, Liberia, Guinea, these countries in West Africa, are small economies. I mean, they're not the Nigeria of West Africa, although let's talk about Nigeria in a moment. But these small economies where the health budget allocation is extremely small, they don't have the firepower to suddenly spend $100, $200 million trying to get on top of this problem and beat it back. And what that article was saying is that this presents a risk to these countries that they cannot afford the amount of money that they will need to spend in the short term in order to get on top of this outbreak. Nigeria, of course, is a completely different beast. You're talking about 20 million people in Lagos alone. This is the engine of West Africa. Of course, there are issues with it, but it is the locomotive of that area. If Nigeria gets hit badly, then all my predictions I've just made go out the window because it's going to be even worse.
He also says that the Ebola virus is spreading widely and fast, and it's very likely that there is a huge unaccounted number of affected people.
Really a very clear and present danger. I think one of the greatest risks to the world that we now live in are viruses. The Ebola virus clearly is what I would call non-linear, so it doesn't go 2, 4, 6, it can go 2, 4, 50, 100, 1,000. It's exponential. And I'm not confident that, one, the statistics are reflecting the actual number of people who have been infected with it. Statistics are notoriously difficult to gather in Africa, let alone West Africa, let alone a situation like this. So I think there's a huge undercount. I don't think our health systems are prepared for such an epidemic.
Flights from or to those affected countries have been banned and cancelled. Kenya Airways last week forbade flights from West Africa countries. Aly says that this move will hurt those companies whose businesses heavily rely on the West African countries.
I think for Kenya Airways, extremely profitable part of their franchise, basically uplifting West Africans through Nairobi to Asia and China was their business model, if you think about it. And if you're not now doing that, it's going to have an impact.
Moreover, analysts say that the biggest threat for West Africa is a long-term pullout of global companies that the region relies on. Aly says that people will stop investments into those areas when they feel panic, so the government needs to stop this panic by taking measures.
What we've got to do is identify what we need, what are the key pieces of equipment, and then be seen to be taking control of our borders and testing everybody. And I think once that happens, some of this panic, which is also going to have an impact economically, because when people start to panic, they make different type of economic decisions, they put off investment decisions. This panic needs to be staunched, and that requires the governments to talk to our people very, very straight and be seen to be ahead of the curve in the way that they're dealing with it.
On Friday, health officials said the fever had spread to every corner of Liberia. is the worst hit country in the grip of the epidemic, where 624 people have died so far. Meanwhile, West African nations have set up a special fund, with Nigeria chipping in $3.5 million and the World Bank contributing $200 million for the purpose.